Good evening, Dr. Nellis. I will apologize for the fact that this is my first vlog and it is probably absolutely awful. I've had a few technical difficulties so far this evening trying to get everything organized, and yeah, so here we go. Today I want to talk about Amy Cuddy and power poses and how body language shapes who you are. One quote that she said that really resonated with myself was, "Fake it until you make it, but not just fake it until you make it, but fake it until you become it." I have to absolutely agree with what she said, as I've never been a shy individual. Obviously, that kind of speaks for itself, but I was very non-confident in years previous to this, and I found that by putting myself in situations that made me feel incredibly uncomfortable and made me put myself out there and made me act like I was confident, I did indeed gain a lot more confidence, and I'm a lot more comfortable speaking in front of large groups of people and doing things that make me feel uncomfortable. There are a lot of things that she said as well to do to increase your confidence, such as power poses like the Wonder Woman and, the angry gorilla man, and making yourself look a lot bigger, look a lot taller. I find also wearing bright colors helps as well, because you're standing out more in a crowd and making yourself a lot more known, and that helps to increase your confidence and your self-image as well. Or how you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself shows and reflects in how you carry yourself and also how you present yourself. Several years ago, I had a friend who was very shy, very reserved, and had incredibly low self-esteem. And whenever we'd be in a large group of people, when I would tell him to go introduce yourself, he'd always be like, "Oh, hi, I'm Aaron," like it wasn't a big deal. And usually that's not something that you want to do when you're presenting yourself to new people. You want to not be overbearing, but to present yourself as if you are someone worth remembering, not someone like a empty piece of paper to be throwing away. I often, when I introduce myself to people, I find actually an odd thing that I've noticed lately is I stand on my tiptoes and I make myself physically taller, and I reach out my hand and I say, "Hi, I'm Laren, like I am awesome," and you won't forget me. Making yourself physically bigger increases your confidence. It increases how you feel about yourself, and it makes a lot more. It makes people pay attention to you more. You don't give them the choice to forget you. Back to how you carry yourself and how you present yourself. People who wear nicer clothes, people who put the effort in to look good every day, or mostly every day, are smiling, they look good, they feel good, and they feel good about themselves, they feel confident about themselves, and they're often a lot more outgoing, as opposed to someone who just doesn't put any effort into their physical appearance, doesn't put any effort into making an impression with people, besides perhaps maybe a negative one, and doesn't put any thought into themselves, not because they're so busy doing other things, but just because they don't care. They often have a lot less confidence. They're more shy, they're more reserved, and they think a lot less of themselves. Those are the people that typically will get up, go to school, go home, and not be very social. They don't have a large group of social friends or even work colleagues, anything like that. Referring again to my not so confident friend. Whenever he and I would have a conversation, I'd go, "Oh, how'd your day go?" And he would always, like 98% of the time, say something along the lines of, oh, well, it was okay, I guess. And that to me seemed very negative, because even when I'm having a god-awful day, I'll say, oh, I'm having an absolutely awful day. But besides that, everything's great. And he was very negative, whereas I do have a very confident, very outgoing, wonderful, wonderful friend. She was always very well dressed, always very well put together. Even when she was stressed and she felt absolutely awful, on the odd day you would find her wearing sweatpants and just having a big glass of Nope that day. She always presented herself very well, and it showed. She had a very, well, she still does, she has a very, very vast circle of friends throughout everywhere that she's gone, and she has traveled a lot. She's very open to the world and to everything. She, like I said, she travels all the time. She's constantly on the go. She's got, I think, 6 or so clubs, almost always on the go, but she's very out there and open, and she's almost always presenting herself in a very open way as well. She will, when she comes into a room, when she introduces herself to people, she has her hands out in front of her. They're not behind her. They're not in a crisscross. She's always very open, and that's how she presents herself, and that's how she is as a person. Relating that back to body language shapes who you are, it really, really does. Alright, so that was my incredibly long, and I'm sorry if it's awful, talk on Amy Cuddy's talk about power poses and how body language increases who you, shapes who you are, sorry. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that it did make some form of sense. And on that note, I will see you next Tuesday.